Hi, Great Grizzlies. It's Miss Ali here. I'm excited to talk to you about more of our toolbox tools. I know we've been spending the last couple of weeks talking through all kinds of tools that you can use, and we're going to keep that going today. So I'm here with two of my friends.
Miss Lucy. Hi, Great Grizzlies.
Mr. V, I can't believe it's been another week already.
I know, they go by so fast. Hopefully it feels that way for you guys. I know we really miss being with you at school. So hopefully these videos are helpful tools for you as you're navigating distance learning, and we're getting into the routines now of learning from home. So we've already talked about a few different tools. We've talked about the breathing tool to calm yourself and check in. We've talked about the quiet, safe place tool, which is really helpful, where you can use your imagination to picture yourself in a quiet, safe space whenever you need it. And today we're going to talk about what's called the listening tool. So the listening tool is not just about listening with our ears. I think most of us know when we're listening to someone talking or we're listening to something we hear with our ears, but there's other ways that we listen too, and we're going to talk about those today. Listening with your heart is really important for having good relationships and for working through conflict when you have a disagreement with somebody or maybe you're arguing. It helps us have empathy and for us to understand someone better. When we listen with our heart to others, we have the opportunity to go deeper for understanding them. We can begin to hear what's below the surface by asking ourselves what might be going on for someone else, what might be happening in their lives that we can't see, that we don't know, that we can try to listen to understand with more than just our ears. When we listen as well as hear, we can understand. So today, when we talk about the listening tool means I listen with my ears, my eyes, my heart, and my mind. So the hand gesture for the listening tool, when you're going to be hearing us talking about it, when carpenters, they're people who build houses, are building a house, a tool that's really important for them to use is they tap on the wall to try to find what's called a stud, which a stud is a really important piece that they use to build to keep a house strong and sturdy so it won't fall down. So finding those studs are really important to having good foundations for a house. Similarly, when we're listening and using the listening tool, we're trying to go deeper to understand so we can empathize with somebody, so we can listen to how they're doing more than just what they're saying, but listening with the rest of ourselves, our eyes, our hearts, and our mind.
I'm going to talk a little bit about what it means when you listen with your eyes and with your ears. I was telling Miss Ali that my son Evan is on a baseball team, and we coach that baseball team. And part of our requirement for our players is we ask them to listen with their eyes and their ears. So even if they are listening and quiet, if they're not looking at us, we call them out and need them to look at us, because sometimes when you're teaching, you're not only teaching with your voice, sometimes you're teaching with your actions too. So it's important that when we're teaching them how to do something and we're explaining it to them, we're also showing them too. So that's one reason that listening with your eyes is important, because not always is it just talking. The other important piece when you're listening with your eyes and your ears is it shows the speaker or shows the person that's teaching or talking that you are engaged and that you are listening. Because if you're looking everywhere else, it really doesn't show them that you care about what they're talking about, and it doesn't show them that you are listening. Because I know when you're teacher, they'll ask you, are you paying attention? And they're not sure because you're not looking at them. You may be listening really well, but it doesn't appear that way. So when you're listening with your eyes and your ears, you're focused in on the speaker, and you've got your ears open and ready to take in that information. Because even if you're just watching and you're not hearing, you're not getting it. You're not going to get all of it. And even if you're just listening and not watching, you're not going to get all of it. So you need to be very focused in. And like I said, it's important when you're learning to be taking in the information through your eyes, especially if someone's showing you. I know that in PE class with Miss Davidson and Mr. Wells, most of the time they are not only just telling you, they're showing you. Mrs. V, she's doing the same thing. So that's a very important time in CDL, especially, that you need to be listening with your eyes as well, because Miss V shows you what to do.
And listening with your hearts and with your minds is also very, very important. And as I am here with you guys today, I kept thinking about situations when, you know, some of you would come into my office to resolve a problem. And yes, maybe we did use the eyes and the ears to listen, but we did not always use our hearts and our minds to feel what the other person was telling you, to understand what they were really trying to get help with or get your attention. So listening with your hearts is feeling a little bit of empathy. So really feeling what the other person is trying to tell you. For example, when you are trying to resolve a problem with a friend, yes, you could be using your eyes and ears, but if you're really not feeling their pain and really feeling what they are trying to tell you, what message they're trying to send you, you're not understanding. And you're really not listening. You might say, yeah, I hear you, but you're really not trying to feel that. You're not feeling that empathy that they're asking you to feel. So that's super important to listen with our hearts and understand with our minds too.
Those things aren't always easy to do. I just want to add that, like, that it's not something that you can always do without thinking. It's easy to do maybe one or two, but if you're really trying to add all of those things, or someone's talking to you about something very serious, it is very hard to attach your ears, your eyes, your heart, your mind to really focus in, because we're busy. We all have a million things that we're thinking about and things we need to do, and it's really hard to shut out all those other things you're thinking about.
Mr. V, what do you think it looks like to listen with our eyes, and why is that so important that we don't just listen with our ears, but our eyes are a part of listening too?
I think that when you are really listening with your eyes, when you're talking, you maybe are nodding with them, or your eyes are connecting with their eyes occasionally. You don't have to stare at them, because that might be uncomfortable too, but your eyes are connecting with them. Your body language or your face is, when they make a point, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, that should show them that you're also listening with your eyes.
Yeah, I think that's really important. When we are listening to somebody, they don't know if we are hearing everything and understanding everything they're telling us unless we're tracking with them, which is a way to say, we're just like Mr. V said, you're nodding along, your eyes are making eye contact occasionally. It helps them know that you're listening. Otherwise, especially when you're listening while we're doing distance learning to the teacher explaining stuff to you, they don't know if you can understand. They can't check in with you like they would in the classroom. They're watching you on a Zoom call or on a Google Meet, and it's really important that they can see your camera and see that your eyes are paying attention, that you're engaged with the learning. Miss Lucy, what do you think it looks like, and what does it feel like to listen with our hearts?
You know, as I'm thinking, when we had students in our office, let's say we had a few of you and some of you were just, you know, looking at the wall or fidgeting with something else and not really paying attention to that student that was trying to resolve an issue with you or trying to tell you how they were feeling about a situation, then you're really not listening with your heart, because you're getting distracted by other things and your heart is not really there. Maybe you were upset, and maybe it is hard to listen with your heart when you're upset, but trying really hard to, you know, use what Mr. V said, doing the eye contact and listening, then you really feel it in your heart, their pain or what they're feeling.
Yeah, and I think when we're talking about the importance of listening, we're trying to understand. We're not just trying to be right. We're not just trying to prove that they don't know or that we know better. If you're in the red zone and you're angry, it is so hard to listen to understand someone else. But when we're listening, it's very important for our relationships that we listen to understand somebody. That's what empathy is trying to understand someone else, to think about maybe what's going on with them. You know, when I am frustrated, one of the things that helps me is even to listen to myself and check in. And I think, am I frustrated right now because I'm tired? Am I stressed? Am I hungry? Do I need a snack? Do I need a nap? Why do you think that's so important to understand when you're in conflict with someone else?
It's a way to show that you also understand, or that you know the way they feel, or you've felt that way before. Like when we're talking about empathy, when you can relate some of your own experience to an experience that they're explaining, you can understand how they feel. So if you were in an argument and they were really upset, I'm sure you've been in an argument before where you were really upset. So you're able to look back and think, like, I didn't like the way that felt. I now know how you feel. And then if you are not ready to listen, then it's also okay to say that you're not ready and that you need some time. Because if you are in the red zone or the yellow zone, your best listening zone is the green zone, just like your best zone for most things is the green zone. And so if you need some time to use any one of these tools, or a tool that you have of your own to get yourself to a spot you can listen, it's okay to say, like, I'm not there yet. Because if you are pushing it and you're trying to have a conversation and trying to listen to somebody when you're not ready, it's not going to help resolve the issue, and it might make them feel worse.
Yeah, and doesn't it help to problem solve when we're problem solving with somebody, when we know they're trying to understand us? I know that always helps me when I'm talking to somebody and I'm trying to share what's going on, how I'm feeling. It makes a big difference when I know that they're listening to understand me. I think that really makes a difference. What do you think, Miss Lucy?
I really think it does, Miss Ali. And you know, when you say that you really want them to listen to you and understand you, then we have to use our eyes, our minds, our hearts, our ears. But then I really, really like what Mr. V said about, if you're not ready, then say you're not ready and remove yourself from that place until you're ready to actually listen, to understand. If you feel annoyed and you just don't want to listen at the time, just let them know in a kind way that you're just not ready, and remove yourself, and then come back and really listen to understand and help.
Well, we've been talking about what the listening tool looks like, what it feels like. I'm going to go ahead and walk us through an imagination practice with using our listening tool. So if you remember, when we do the imagination practice, what's important is that we're comfortable wherever we're sitting. So I'm going to get comfortable. I'm going to make sure both of my feet are on the ground. I've told you guys before, I'm a little short, so sometimes my feet don't touch the ground, so I got to scoot forward a little bit. You can put your hands on your knees, or you can put them on the desk in front of you, whatever's comfortable. Sit upright, so you're sitting up tall, and your head should feel comfortable. It should feel balanced. And then you're just going to look at something that you don't have to pay a lot of attention to, because we're focusing on practicing using our listening tool. All right, we're going to take 3 belly breaths together. So I'm going to count them for us. We're going to breathe in for 3 seconds, breathe out for 3 seconds. I'll probably hold my breath for about a second at the top of each breath. Okay, so let's breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay. I want you to imagine your heart is the most important listening part. Remember, you're already a master at having a heart. You can always count on it. It is there for you and it lets you know how you feel about things. Remember your heart. It will always tell you what is going on inside of yourself, if you listen to it. Now take a moment and imagine your day tomorrow, starting at the beginning of your day. Imagine listening all day long with your ears, your eyes, your heart, and your mind. Seeing yourself listening with your heart, notice what you can learn by listening. So you go throughout your day, how can you listen with your ears, your eyes, your heart, and your mind? I'm going to do one more belly breath. So breathe with me. Breathe in. Breathe out. We can wiggle our hands, wiggle your toes. Thanks for doing the imagination practice with me, guys. It's always helpful to think about what it would be like to use the tool as you go throughout your day. And I want you to think about, while we're doing distance learning this week, how can you use your listening tool? So you're not just listening to your teacher with your ears and your eyes, but how can you be listening with your heart and with your mind? And also think of how can you use that with people that live in your house? Maybe you guys are having a hard time with being home together a lot. I know that's hard. So how can you use the listening tool to understand how other people around you are feeling? All right, Grant Grizzlies, thanks for being a part of this with us today. It's always great to get to talk to you guys, and hopefully you can join us for our lunch groups this week. Bye.